Yes, guys, welcome to another episode of Matt Zena Acting Tips. Today is a very big episode. It's one of those episodes where I'm not quite sure why I've not done this before. So what we're going to talk about is in-person auditions. Now, there used to be a lot more in-person auditions because they used to be the first port of call for auditions. Now it's mostly self-tapes, then maybe Zoom auditions. So they're actually only doing a lot of in-person auditions for kind of, for recall auditions to kind of those, those final stages. Maybe not so much for commercials, but that's slightly different. Now, the first thing that I really want to address is the obvious things, okay? One is learn the script. Now, don't just learn the script so that you think you know it and you kind of have to reach for the lines. There's a difference. Learn it instinctively, all right? So you don't even need to reach for the lines. They just happen, okay? Number two, obviously know the where you're going, know the time, and just make sure that you are not going to have any excuses. Watch the travel, watch the traffic, watch the trains. Make sure that you leave enough time so that you can act if anything goes wrong, okay? Excuses only sound good to the person making them. So make sure that you set off early. Make sure that you've got enough time in case things go wrong. Get ahead of it, okay? Here's a tip, and that is your audition begins from the second you leave your house. Put yourself in audition mode. Everybody you speak to, all right? I've heard horror stories of casting directors being on the train and, kind of seeing actors' behavior that maybe they might not like. So get in audition mode and make sure that you are fully committed all the way to and from that particular audition. More tips really is make sure you're well rested. Marginal gains is a huge thing in auditions, all right? It is marginal gains. Everybody who gets there can act. It's just minor things, and we're going to go into it in a lot more detail. Get there. Don't get there too early, all right? Because that can be a bit annoying. Get there 15 minutes before. Bang on. Now, when you get into the building, make sure that you address everybody politely and with positivity and positive energy, all right? There's been times when I've seen casting directors assigning people in, kind of introducing people in at the door. You don't know who's who, so just make sure you have a really polite, positive energy with everybody there, all right? When you get into reception, be polite with other actors. Okay, I cannot stress it enough. Be polite. Be somebody that people want to see more often, that people want to work with. All right. When you get into the kind of waiting area, make sure you obviously look over your script. Make sure you have a professional disposition. Look like an actor that's ready to work. You're being assessed all of the time. Then you will get invited into the audition room. Okay. If you're told to go in, here's a thing, all right, and this is from personal experience from when I was a young actor, knock, okay? Knock. Make sure that you're incredibly polite in that way. Then when you get into the room, I want you to not just deal with one person. If there's a few people in the room, okay, make sure that you deal with everybody equally. Now, here's another tip from the top drawer. Usually, and this is from my experience, the person in the room who probably says the least, for me, usually has the biggest decision. So if you've got to that later stage and there's a few people, it might be producer, director, it could be a few people. And the casting director will usually deal with the audition or an assistant, but you find that the person who's quietest will usually be the person with the biggest decision to make. So if you just deal with the person who's doing the audition and just ignore people, there might be a subconscious like, right, I'm just being ignored here and I'm relatively important. So just deal with everybody. Hi, lovely to meet you. hi, I'm Matt, and everybody in the room gets your equal attention. Obviously, then you'll turn your attention to the casting director who will kind of run things, but make sure wherever possible you're able to deal and, make sure that audition is projected to everybody in the room. People say, do you shake hands? Don't you? You let the people who are running that audition lead on that one. Don't just dive in and expect people to just be comfortable with that, big hugs and all of that. No, let them lead. Really understand what is feasible and plausible in the situation, okay? Be smart. Bring that positive energy in. Remember this, and I'll say it now, I was going to save it till the end, but one of the biggest assessments is, do they want to work with you? Okay? And I think that, if you've got to spend, it might be 2 weeks, a week, it could be, if it's a soap audition, potentially years and years and years and years, it's kind of like, do they want to work with you? So do you have a positive energy? Do you look like the type of person that they want to spend more time with? Be that person. All right? But now you've got to prove that you can do the job. Now, the first thing that will happen is there might be some, things that need to get out of the way. So they might get you to do a bit of a slate to camera just to remind you who you are. Name, age, agent. And you say that with positivity, confidence. As well as that, they might make you do boring things like, it's not even boring. It's fun. It's part of your job. All right. So they might say hands. Where they say, can we see your hands? So don't be kind of put off by that. Another thing that they might ask you to do is do profiles, which basically means that you look at the camera once, you step to the side, fully that way, and then you step back to the front. Then they will have the chat. Now, actors don't think that this is very important, and what they'll do is they will answer with incredibly short questions because they just want to get onto the script or the audition. But here's another top tip for you. The chat is probably one of the most important parts of the audition. So if you get asked a question, don't just answer yes or no or really flippantly or quickly. Literally open up. I know some casting directors that will ask questions that don't feel particularly relevant, but it's just to get the actor to open up, show confidence and be themselves. So, they might say, how did you get here? And you think, well, what a silly question. Well, I drove here. And you could just say drove here. But why not open up, show your personality, who you are? Because that's what they want in this bit. Because they're not casting an actor particularly. They're casting a personality that they want to put in imaginary circumstances. And this is where they see it more than anything else. Okay, so that particular question, how did you get here, would become, today I did get up nice and early. I went for a run. I just wanted to be kind of clear-headed. I wanted to get my energy up. And then I had to drop my kids at school, but it was fine. And so I had the car and then, do you see what I mean? So you just open up on the question. Then you will do the read. You do the read, obviously, to the best of your ability. Now, what you really, really want to think about is I've just shown all my personality there. If I'm genuinely, truly showing myself as a really good actor, I'm going to bring personality into that read, into that scene. So you should have a very similar personality because that's the personality that they want to see. Now, this is one thing that really throws actors when casting directors turn around and say, do you want to do it again? Now, if you do want to do it, don't get thrown by that. They're just saying, basically, it's your audition. How do you think you've done? Do you want that to go on tape? Do you want them? And if you think you aced it, then just say yes. That's fine. If you want to have another go and you just think, actually, I can bring more personality to it, I can do it, then do it again. Another thing that they might do is say, can you do it this way? Now, they're not saying that you've done it badly. They just want to see your ability to adapt. Can you be directed? Can you, when given instruction, bring that instruction into your scene? And then when it's done, they'll say, thank you very much. Might ask you a few more questions. But then when you say goodbye, right, you genuinely have to, deal with everybody again the same and be polite and say, thank you so much. Lovely to meet you. And here's, wink, wink, a little thing that I always say is, get my actors to say is, I hope to see you again. which gets a subconscious reply of, yes, you too, I hope to see you again. Now, that's just a subconscious contract. You want to see them again. You want to see the casting director again, etc. So make sure that you just ask that little, just little marginal gains. I hope to see you again. It's brilliant, okay? Then when you leave, it's all in reverse. Your audition's still going on. Make sure you deal with everybody with politeness, respect, and eventually you'll make it home, okay? Now, here's the thing. Once the audition's done from a psychological point of view, it's done. Don't be ringing your agent every 2 seconds. Have you heard? Have you heard? Have you heard? You're a professional. You've given your version of that scene, and it's just subjective. It's a subjective decision where they're going to choose which they like best. It's not an acting competition. At this level of acting, you are giving your version, what you would like to present that scene to be or that character to be. And that character obviously will be you in your version and what you decide to do with it. It's not a case of, kind of, am I good enough? It's not. You are good enough because you got in the audition. It's just you presented your version and it's whether they decide it's what they want. So once that audition's done, it's done. Forget about it. And if it comes in, it comes in, okay? You've done your job, and that is that, okay? And apart from that, that is really how to conduct a really, really good in-person audition. Make sure that you don't attach too much emotion to it afterwards. That's why I said about, look, it's just your version, and don't, try and forget about it. And just literally maximize on that audition. If you walk away just knowing that you did a really good job, you presented an amazing version that you're proud of and you can get behind and you think that was a good version, it's up to them whether they choose it or not, but I know that I did my best and it was a good version, then you can kind of psychologically just walk away feeling good about it, okay? But don't take it personally when all that you're doing is giving them a subjective decision to make, okay? Right, I think, in fact, I know that I've given some amazing value there, okay? So make sure that you make notes, make sure that next time you have an in-person audition that you absolutely maximizing on it using that particular advice, okay? Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you pass this video on to anybody who needs this help. And I will see you next week for another episode of Matt Zena Acting Tips.